My friends, there comes a time in every person's life when they must decide who they're going to be. Not what they want to have, not where they want to go, but who they will become. And in that decision lies the power to change everything. Now, we live in a world where everyone is searching for shortcuts, the easy way, the secret path, the magic formula for success. But the truth, the quiet truth, is that greatness doesn't come from what you know, it comes from what you do. Every single day, there is one habit that has built every dream, every business, every movement that has ever mattered. It's not luck, it's not talent. It's the habit of showing up. Show up every day. It sounds simple, even ordinary, but it is the one act that separates those who dream from those who achieve. Showing up is not just about being physically present. It's about bringing your heart, your mind, your will, and your purpose to the table, even when you feel like you have nothing left to give. It's the decision to face the day, no matter how uncertain, uncomfortable, or difficult it may be. The habit of showing up is what turns potential into progress and dreams into destiny. Every person who has ever accomplished something meaningful has faced moments of doubt, fear, and exhaustion. But what made them different was not their talent, not their intelligence, and not their luck. It was their commitment to keep showing up. When the excitement faded, they still showed up. When the applause stopped, they still showed up. When failure knocked them down, they stood up, brushed off the dust, and showed up again, because the truth is, progress is rarely visible in the beginning. You don't always see the seeds you've planted. The world doesn't clap for consistency. But each time you show up, you strengthen your character, your discipline, and your belief in yourself. You see, showing up is not just an act of persistence, it's an act of faith. Faith that your effort matters, faith that your purpose means something, and faith that what you are building will one day stand tall. You might not see the results right away. In fact, most of the time you won't. There will be long stretches of effort that seem invisible, stretches where it feels like no one notices and nothing is working. But that's where true growth happens. That's where resilience is born. Every repetition, every attempt, every small step forward is teaching you something about who you are, what you can endure, and how deeply your commitment runs. When you show up, even when it's hard, you're sending a message to yourself that you can be trusted. And that's one of the most powerful things a person can ever build, self-trust. Because once you trust yourself to do what you said you would do, you stop needing motivation to start. You stop negotiating with your excuses. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. You begin to move with purpose, because showing up is no longer a choice, it's who you are. It becomes part of your identity. There will always be people who are more talented, or more educated, or more experienced than you. But very few will outlast you if you simply keep showing up. Most people quit right before they start to see results. They stop digging just before they strike gold. They give up on their dreams at the very moment when perseverance would have made all the difference. But the person who keeps showing up, even when the world says it's pointless, that's the person who wins. Every great story, every breakthrough, every success begins with that single, quiet decision to show up. Think about it. The writer who keeps writing, even after rejection, the athlete who keeps training, even after defeat, the student who keeps studying, even after failure, the parent who keeps trying even after exhaustion. They may not win every battle, but they win something greater: the strength of character, the unshakable belief that they can overcome whatever stands in their way. When you commit to showing up every day, life begins to respond in kind. Opportunities start to appear. People start to notice your dedication. Circumstances begin to shift in your favor, not because of luck, but because consistency attracts growth. You create momentum, and momentum is powerful. It turns small victories into big ones. It transforms the impossible into the inevitable. So when you wake up tomorrow and you don't feel ready, remember this: you don't need to feel ready. You just need to show up. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to take the next step. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present. Because every day you show up, you're building something far more valuable than success. You're building yourself. And in the end, that's what truly changes everything. Discipline is the bridge between dreams and reality. It is the quiet strength that carries you forward when motivation has vanished, the force that keeps you on track long after the initial excitement has faded. Motivation is beautiful, yes. It sparks the beginning. It's that rush of energy you feel when you start something new, the fire that ignites your ambition. But motivation is temporary. It comes and goes with the mood, with the weather, with the applause of others. Discipline, on the other hand, is permanent. It doesn't ask how you feel. It only asks what needs to be done. It doesn't wait for the right moment. It creates it. That is why discipline will always outperform motivation. Every great accomplishment is rooted in discipline. It's the unseen commitment behind every success story. When people look at those who've achieved greatness, they often assume it was talent, intelligence, or opportunity that brought them there. But if you strip away the illusion, you'll find something simpler, something stronger: daily discipline. The writer who finishes a book doesn't rely on bursts of inspiration. They write even when the words don't come easily. The athlete who reaches the top doesn't depend on adrenaline. They train when the crowd is gone. When the body aches, when the mind whispers to quit. Discipline is the quiet decision to keep going when every part of you wants to stop. There will be days when motivation simply isn't there. You'll wake up tired, discouraged, uncertain. The goals that once seemed bright will feel distant, the effort will feel heavy, and the progress will seem invisible. On those days, discipline is your anchor. It doesn't depend on excitement, it depends on purpose. Discipline reminds you why you started in the first place. It whispers to you in the silence: keep moving, keep showing up, keep your promise. Because discipline isn't glamorous. It's not the loud, cheering crowd or the viral moment. It's the early mornings, the long nights, the quiet sacrifices that no one sees. It's choosing to practice when you could rest, to learn when you could relax, to continue when you could quit. When you build discipline, you build power, the kind of power that doesn't waver with emotion. Discipline trains your mind to obey your goals, not your feelings. It teaches you to act on commitment, not comfort. It's easy to work when you're inspired, but real growth begins when you work without inspiration. When you rise out of bed, even when your body resists. When you focus, even when you're distracted. When you push forward, even when your spirit is tired. That's when you transform. That's when you separate yourself from the crowd. Discipline also gives structure to your vision. Dreams without discipline are just wishes floating in the air without direction. Discipline gives them weight, gives them shape, and turns them into plans. You can have the biggest goals in the world, but without the habit of doing the work consistently, they will remain only dreams. Discipline is the daily agreement you make with yourself that says, I will do what I must, not just what I want. It's a contract signed in effort, renewed in persistence, and proven through consistency. The beauty of discipline is that it multiplies with practice. The more you do what you said you would do, the stronger you become. At first, it feels like a struggle, like you're pushing against resistance. But with time, Discipline becomes natural. It becomes part of who you are. You begin to crave structure, to appreciate the process, to find pride in consistency. The same actions that once felt forced begin to feel freeing because now you are in control. Not your laziness, not your fear, not your doubt you. Discipline gives you mastery over yourself, and that mastery is the foundation of success. And yes, there will be moments when discipline feels lonely. While others rest, you work. While others celebrate, you prepare. While others take shortcuts, you stay the course. But when the results begin to appear, when your strength grows, when your skills sharpen, when your confidence deepens, you'll understand that the loneliness was temporary, but the reward is lasting. Discipline asks for sacrifice, but it returns freedom from regret, freedom from limitation, freedom from the chaos of inconsistency. In the end, discipline is not about perfection. It's about persistence. It's not about never failing. It's about never quitting. It's about waking up every day and deciding that your purpose is greater than your excuses. Because when motivation runs dry, and it will, it's discipline that keeps your vision alive. It's the quiet promise you keep to yourself that says, no matter how I feel, no matter how hard it gets, I will not stop. And that, more than anything else, is what changes everything. Success is not built in a single moment of brilliance. It is built brick by brick through small, consistent actions that accumulate over time. Each day, each effort, each tiny decision adds up, shaping the foundation of something far greater than what you can see in the moment. The greatest mistake people make is expecting instant results. They want the wall before they've laid the first brick, the victory before they've fought the battle, the reward before they've earned it. But life doesn't work that way. Every masterpiece, every empire, every legacy has been built patiently, piece by piece, with faith and persistence. It's not about doing everything at once. It's about doing the right thing again and again until it becomes unshakable. Imagine a builder standing before an empty space, holding nothing but a single brick. To the untrained eye, it might seem insignificant. One brick doesn't look like much, but that builder knows that every strong wall, every beautiful structure begins with one simple step, the laying of that first brick. And so they do the work, they place one brick down with care and precision, then another, then another. Some days it rains and the work slows. Some days it's scorching hot and their hands ache. But the builder continues because they understand that progress is not always visible. It's cumulative. Over time, those small, almost invisible efforts transform into something extraordinary. The same is true for your dreams. Each time you put an effort, no matter how small you're building, every hour you spend improving your craft, every day you dedicate to learning, every time you choose persistence over procrastination, you're laying another brick. You might not see the results immediately, but the structure is rising. The foundation is forming. The unseen effort is becoming the unseen strength that will one day carry the weight of your success. The reason most people never reach their potential is because they get discouraged too quickly. They look at their half-built wall and think, what's the point? It's taking too long. They compare their progress to someone else's completed structure and forget that everyone starts with the same blank ground. They underestimate the power of small actions done consistently. But if you just keep laying bricks day after day, something magical happens. Momentum begins to build. The work starts to connect. The vision starts to take shape. Every great athlete, artist, leader, or entrepreneur understands this truth. They know that success is not an explosion. It's an accumulation. It's the result of countless small, disciplined actions performed even when nobody's watching. When you see someone standing on top of a mountain, It's easy to forget how many steps they took to climb it. You see the glory, not the grind. You see the victory, not the struggle. But every one of those steps mattered. Every one of them was a brick in the wall of success. There will be times when the process feels endless, when you question whether your effort is worth it. You'll look around and see no visible progress. The wall might still look half-finished, uneven, imperfect, but that's where faith comes in, the belief that your consistent actions, no matter how small, are shaping a future that you can't yet see. Patience is your greatest ally here, because nothing strong, nothing lasting, nothing meaningful is built overnight. Anything that rises too fast falls just as quickly. The strongest foundations are built slowly, carefully, and with purpose. Each brick you lay teaches you something. It builds your skill, sharpens your focus, strengthens your resolve. Even the days that seem unproductive, when you feel like you're making no progress at all, are valuable. Because showing up, putting in effort, staying the course, those are the bricks that matter most. They may not shine, but they're the ones that hold everything together. Think of your life as a masterpiece in progress. Every decision, every effort, every act of persistence adds a stroke to the canvas, a brick to the wall, a note to the symphony. Some strokes will be bold and visible. Others will be quiet, almost invisible. But together, they form something powerful, something lasting. What matters is not how fast you build, but that you never stop building. And one day, you'll step back and see what you've created. Not just the success, but the strength within yourself. You'll realize that the process itself was the true reward, because with every brick you laid, you weren't just building a dream, you were building the person capable of living it. The world only sees the finished product, the polished speech, the gold medal, the beautiful performance, the thriving business. But what they don't see is the struggle behind it. They don't see the late nights spent working when everyone else was sleeping, the quiet mornings filled with doubt, the hours of repetition, the countless failures and silent tears. They don't see the weight of discipline, the exhaustion that comes from giving everything you have when no one is there to applaud. That unseen effort is where true greatness is born. It's in those invisible moments behind closed doors that character is formed and success begins to take shape. Everyone loves the idea of success, but few are willing to embrace the loneliness that comes with the journey. The unseen effort is the price of mastery, the cost of excellence. It's the uncelebrated work, the sacrifices that never make it to social media, the long stretches of silence where nothing seems to be happening, but everything is. Growth doesn't always make noise. Progress doesn't always announce itself. The seed grows in the darkness before it breaks through the soil. In the same way, your growth happens quietly, hidden from the world, until one day it becomes impossible to ignore. There are days when you'll question why you're still pushing, why you're still trying when no one seems to notice. You'll wonder if your effort even matters. That's when you must remind yourself the most important work you do is the work no one sees, because when the lights finally come on, when the world finally notices, it's that unseen effort that will hold you steady. It's what gives you the strength, the confidence, and the authenticity to stand tall when it matters most. The unseen effort is not glamorous. It's not exciting. It's repetitive. It's lonely. It's filled with moments of self-doubt and uncertainty. But every second of it counts. Every practice, every draft, every quiet hour spent improving yourself adds a layer of strength to your foundation. The people who succeed are not necessarily the most talented. They are the ones who worked when no one else was watching. They are the ones who kept refining their skills, their mindset, their habits, until excellence became their second nature. There's something sacred about effort that goes unnoticed. It builds humility. It teaches patience. It reminds you that your worth is not defined by recognition, but by dedication. You begin to work not for applause, but for purpose. You start to understand that success is not about validation. It's about transformation. The unseen effort transforms you from the inside out. It makes you stronger, wiser, more resilient. It molds you into the kind of person who can handle the success when it finally comes. Think about the artist who spends years perfecting their craft before their first gallery show, the athlete who trains for hours in an empty gym long before they ever step onto a big stage, or the entrepreneur who works in silence for years before anyone knows their name. Their success may look sudden to the outside world, but it isn't. It's the result of unseen effort, the result of days, months, and years spent preparing for a moment that would change everything. When people call it overnight success, they don't see the 1,000 nights of hard work that came before. The truth is, the unseen effort is often where the most important battles are fought. It's in the quiet moments when no one's watching that you decide who you are. You decide whether to give up or go on. You decide whether to stay comfortable or chase growth. You decide whether your dream is worth the struggle. And every time you choose to keep going, you become a little stronger, a little better, a little more unstoppable. The reason unseen effort matters so much is because it's pure. It's not driven by the need to impress others. It's driven by the desire to improve yourself. When you work in silence, when you grind without validation, you are doing it for the right reasons. You are proving your commitment to yourself. And that kind of effort never goes unrewarded. The universe has a way of honoring consistency, of rewarding those who keep moving forward, even when no one claps for them. So when you're alone with your effort, when it feels like no one notices or cares, remember this: you are not wasting your time. You are planting seeds that will bloom in their season. You are writing the story that one day others will call inspiring. You are building strength that can't be shaken, confidence that can't be faked, and a foundation that can't be broken. The world may not see it now, but one day they will. And when they do, they'll call it success, but you'll know better. You'll know it was built in the quiet, in the lonely, in the unseen effort that changed everything. Failure is one of the most misunderstood parts of success. People fear it, avoid it, and run from it as if it's a permanent stain on their dreams. But the truth is, failure is not the end, it's the beginning. It's not a barrier to greatness, it's the pathway through it. Every person who has achieved something extraordinary has walked through the fire of failure. They have stumbled, fallen, doubted, and been rejected. But what separated them from the rest was that they didn't stay down. They learned, they adjusted, and they rose again. Failure, when embraced, becomes a teacher, sometimes harsh, sometimes humbling, but always honest. It strips away illusion and ego, forcing you to see what truly matters and what still needs to grow within you. When you fail, it hurts. It shakes your confidence, it tests your patience, and it can make you question your worth. But inside that pain lies power, the power to rebuild stronger, to rise wiser, to fight harder. Every failure contains a lesson, and those who are brave enough to look for it always come out transformed. Success is not a straight road, it's a winding path full of obstacles and missteps. Each setback, each disappointment, each rejection is shaping you, refining your character, and preparing you for something greater than what you first imagined. The problem is, too many people see failure as a final verdict instead of a temporary lesson. They let one mistake define them, one defeat break them, one rejection silence them. But failure was never meant to stop you. It was meant to strengthen you. It reveals your weaknesses so you can improve them. It exposes your flaws so you can fix them. It tests your resolve so you can prove to yourself how badly you want it. The strongest steel is forged in the hottest fire, and the same is true for human beings. The furnace of failure is where resilience is born. Failure teaches you things success never could. It humbles you. It makes you patient. It forces you to dig deeper into yourself to find the courage to continue. It removes the illusion that everything must go according to plan, because life rarely does. And when it doesn't, failure is the tool that builds adaptability, the ability to shift, to learn, to move forward no matter what happens. It gives you perspective. You start to understand that a single failure doesn't define your life. It defines your moment. And moments can change. Some of the world's most successful people failed more times than anyone else. The inventor who burned through thousands of prototypes before finding the right one. The author who faced dozens of rejections before a publisher said yes. The athlete who lost countless times before becoming a champion. They didn't succeed because they were lucky. They succeeded because they refused to quit. Each failure was a lesson, a clue, a step closer to mastery. If they had given up after their first setback, their stories would have ended before they ever began. Failure also reveals your true purpose. It clarifies what you really want. Because if something isn't meaningful to you, you won't fight for it after failure. But when you fall and still feel that fire inside you to try again, that's how you know your dream is real. Failure tests your commitment. It asks, do you want this enough to keep going even after you've fallen short? And when your answer is yes, you move with a different kind of power, one rooted not in arrogance, but in endurance. It's easy to smile when everything goes your way. It's easy to believe in yourself when you're winning, but when you fail and still choose to keep believing, that's when you build something unbreakable. Every time you rise from failure, you strengthen your spirit, you build courage that cannot be taught, confidence that cannot be borrowed, and wisdom that cannot be bought. You learn to stop fearing failure because you've seen what it can do for you. It no longer becomes a wall to stop you. It becomes a mirror that shows you who you truly are. The truth is, failure is not your enemy. It's your instructor, your refiner, your silent partner in growth. The more you face it, the less power it has to scare you. You start to realize that failure isn't about losing. It's about learning. It's about collecting the lessons that life gives only to those who are brave enough to try. You can't succeed without it. Every dream worth chasing comes with the risk of falling. But if you can stand back up, if you can turn that pain into purpose, then failure becomes your greatest ally. So when failure comes, and it will, don't hide from it. Don't let it make you smaller. Look it in the eye and thank it for showing you the truth. Because it means you were brave enough to act when others stayed silent. It means you were moving when others stood still. And that movement, even when it leads to a fall, is always progress. The ones who succeed are not those who never fail. They are those who refuse to let failure have the final word. When you show up consistently and keep your promises to yourself, something powerful begins to happen inside you. You start to trust yourself. That trust is not built overnight, and it cannot be faked. It is earned through repeated actions, through doing what you said you would do, especially when it's hard, when it's inconvenient, when no one is watching. Each time you follow through, you build integrity. Each time you choose discipline over distraction, you strengthen your inner foundation. And over time, that foundation becomes unshakable. You stop relying on others to push you, to validate you, or to believe in you. Because you've proven again and again that you can rely on yourself, Self-trust is one of the most valuable forms of confidence a person can have. It's not loud or boastful. It's quiet, steady, and deeply rooted. It doesn't come from compliments, trophies, or recognition. It comes from the knowledge that when life challenges you, you won't crumble. You'll adapt, you'll endure. That kind of confidence doesn't disappear when things get hard, because it's not built on external approval. It's built on internal integrity. Every decision to show up when you don't feel like it, every promise you keep to yourself, every standard you refuse to lower, these choices shape your character. They become the invisible proof that you can depend on you. There's something liberating about knowing you can count on yourself. You move differently. You think differently. You no longer waste energy doubting whether you're capable. You begin to approach challenges with a calm strength because you know you've faced difficulties before and made it through. You no longer need to convince anyone of your worth because you've already convinced yourself through your actions. And that's what true confidence looks like. Not arrogance, but assurance. Not the need to be better than others, but the certainty that you'll do what needs to be done. Integrity also has a ripple effect. When you live with consistency, when your actions match your words, you start to influence the people around you. Others see that you mean what you say. They sense that your confidence is real, that your effort is sincere, and they begin to trust you too. But it all starts with the trust you build within yourself. You cannot expect others to believe in you if you don't first believe in yourself. And belief comes from evidence, the evidence of action, the evidence of persistence. When you keep your promises to yourself, even the small ones, you're sending a message to your mind, I am dependable. That message grows stronger every time you honor your word. And the stronger that message becomes, the less room there is for doubt. Most people fail not because they lack talent or opportunity, but because they stop trusting themselves after setbacks. They break too many promises to themselves, skipped goals, delayed efforts, abandoned dreams, and with every broken promise, their self-belief weakens. They start to think, maybe I can't do it, not because they lack ability, but because they've lost faith in their own consistency. The solution isn't to hope for more motivation, it's to rebuild that trust one small act at a time. When your words and actions finally align, something shifts inside you. You feel lighter, stronger, more focused. There's no longer a war between who you say you are and who you actually are. You move through life with purpose, not because it's easy, but because it feels right. You stop chasing quick results because you understand that real success is built on integrity. You realize that your greatest power lies not in what you can achieve once, but in what you can do repeatedly with honesty and intention. Building integrity also means holding yourself accountable. It's about looking in the mirror and asking, am I keeping the promises I've made to myself? Sometimes the answer will be no, and that's okay, as long as you're willing to face it and begin again. Self-trust doesn't require perfection. It requires persistence. The courage to keep trying, the humility to admit when you've fallen short, the wisdom to correct course instead of giving up. Every time you do that, your integrity grows stronger because you're proving that you won't abandon yourself when things get tough. As your integrity deepens, so does your peace of mind. You no longer feel the need to chase validation because you've built something far more lasting, self-respect. That respect comes from knowing you are living in alignment with your values. You're not pretending. You're not performing. You're being exactly who you claim to be. That kind of peace cannot be given to you. It can only be earned through consistency and honesty. When you reach this level of integrity, you become unshakable. The world can test you, people can doubt you, circumstances can change, but you won't lose yourself because your strength isn't borrowed from anyone else. It's built within. And that inner strength, that self-trust, trust becomes your compass. It guides you through fear, through failure, through uncertainty. It reminds you that no matter how many times life knocks you down, you can always rise again. That's the real power of consistency and integrity. It turns ordinary people into unstoppable forces. It's not about being perfect. It's about being honest, dependable, and resilient. It's about standing firm in your values and trusting that every time you keep your word, you are shaping a stronger, wiser, more confident version of yourself. Because in the end, success doesn't just belong to those who dream big. It belongs to those who are loyal to themselves, who live with integrity, and who can look in the mirror and say with certainty, I kept my promise. And so, as we stand at the edge of our own possibilities, let us remember this greatness is not reserved for a chosen few. It is built piece by piece through the small habits we choose every single day. The one habit that changes everything is not hidden in some secret formula or distant dream. It's in the quiet choices you make when no one is watching, in the promises you keep to yourself, and in the courage to rise each time you fall. You have within you the power to transform your life, not through luck, not through shortcuts, but through consistency, integrity, and belief. Every great story of success began with who decided to show up one more time, to keep walking when the road felt endless, to keep believing when the world went silent. So make that decision today. Commit to that one habit that changes everything. Be the person who follows through, who stands tall in the face of doubt, who turns effort into excellence. Because the future doesn't belong to those who wait. It belongs to those who act, who persist, and who never give up on becoming their best selves. Your time is now. Your story is waiting to be written. And it all begins with one simple, powerful choice to do it again tomorrow.